So hey everybody, this is me Raman. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please go and subscribe. So let welcome to the first episode of season 2 of Loki. This is mentioned in the thumbnail as well. Loki is one of the most famous MCU web series or series that's made by Marvel, and favorite to many people also, because as we all know, Loki, the character, is the most favorite villain of MCU. I don't know, this much reception was given to any villains in MCU. So about him, a separate movie. After this, many movies did came, like Ant-Man 3 or Quantumania, yeah, Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, or Guardians of the Galaxy or Secret Invasion, but didn't had this much hype or this much reception from the audience. But back in 2021, the first season of Loki was promising to look into, and MCU's grand plan of multiverse saga was just happening because of this. Many had hopes on that, but we don't know how the Marvel, the Avengers would be. But this Loki season 2 is something to hope on. So let's see about this review. Hope you like it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. And I have made a playlist for the whole Loki season because I love the character Loki. For the season 1, and some of the hidden details and everything will be in that playlist. You can just check it out. So before we dive into time slipping madness and discuss what the God of Mischief is up to, you might want to check how Marvel Studios is going doing so far on the big screen with our MCU movies. If you need a refresher on which movie goes where in the timeline, we can also make that order uh, according to it. So season 1 had a quite shocking ending with Jonathan Majors, he who remains, a Kang variant, dying at the hands of Sylvie. She is also a variant of Loki. After explaining why he had to keep a sacred timeline, and Loki returning to TVA that doesn't appear to be his timeline. The death of he who remains essentially made time branch out and created multiverse we have begun experiencing in movies like Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in Multiverse Madness. As timelines can interact with each other again, a new multiversal war looms near. Sylvie is now lost across the time, and Loki wants to find her. And who he we know she was the one who fell in love with Loki, or Loki fell in love with them because both are same variant. Everyone at the TVA is going to have a hard time believing that they saw and were told at the end of time, especially when he can't stop involuntarily jumping between the past and the present. Though it seems that he's at least tied to the timeline we knew from the most of season 1. We could argue the first thing season 2 does is backtrack the terrifying implications of cliffhanger ending from the 2 years ago, but its twist we hadn't even considered, and it doesn't diminish the larger threat in any way. In fact, season two's first episode is quite stressful. The TVA knows the sacred timeline is cooked and has lost Ravonna Renslayer on top of everything. So we are introduced to Kate, General Docs, and Liz Carr's Judge Gamble, who will try to decide the best course of action moving forward. Ouroboros is an episode which takes place entirely within the TVA, and besides a small action beat early on, somehow manages to thrill. In our humble opinion, it's the actors and the energetic, dynamic camera work who carry the show here. On a script level, this season premiere repeats many of the mistakes seen in the series debut in back 2021. It's overloaded with expositions and talk of mechanics, while the plot sits back for the entire scenes. However, the execution is so charming and engaging that you don't really care while watching it. The fact is, show has retained its analog visual identity, and production design definitely helps too. After narrowly convincing the agent Mobius from the present and the emergency council about at least a part of the transpired at the end of the time, exposing a hidden mural full of gangs definitely helped Loki and his new favorite partner go down the TVA to meet Ki Hua Kwan's Ouroboros, a chatty and cheerful worker who probably was written with the Oscar winner in the mind. Another big positive of the show since the very beginning was the banter between Loki and Mobius, which managed to be funny without overdoing it. It felt genuine. About Ki Hua Khan, I don't know how they pronounce this name. Kwan's performance mixes perfectly with what they all had already going between them. Long story short, Loki is time slipping because of the time related messes he and Sylvie got into. Ouroboros knows his affliction of sorts, but says it's impossible for it to happen inside the TVA. Yet here we are. Our main fear with the scene was the Obi, the friendly nickname of Mobius gave him, would send Loki and his friend to a shockingly long side quest which would take up most of the season. But the fix isn't hard to find. As Loki jumps back and forth between the same location, the past and present, his conversation with Obi triggers memories in the present day Obi and allows the duo to acquire the device that past Obi put together for such situations. It's a surprisingly simple solution to the pressing issue, but giving viewers a well-written double dialogue scene that uses simple editing to its advantage uh, is more satisfying than randomly throwing in an adventurous detour um, with little else to offer. There is a big but in the shape of the TV's temporal room, a nexus of sorts that powers all their time-related tech and refines time into physical timeline is TVA temporal loop. So crumbling, which could would be bad for everyone, but especially for Loki, would stop being linked to two different points in time. Instead would literally unravel. Not idea. The solution is to grab Loki with a device placed near the temporal loom within limited window of time, during which the most prune himself with the TVS weapon of choice and sends problematic variant to the time junkyard we saw in the season 1. In case you were wondering, yes, this is the a bunch of convoluted nonsense, but roll with it as the actual mechanics aren't hard to grasp. Just a good sci-fi fun. Mobius' bulky suit can't protect him for too long inside the massive chamber that houses the temporal loom, so that puts even pressure on the team. Moreover, Loki time slips again into the future where he struggles to find a pruning stick just in the nick of time, and as Obi starts closing the gates that protect the TVA from the loom, Loki prunes himself and is grabbed into his timeline, but not before he sees Sylvie in the future. She's out there looking for a new place to stay in. Did she want to walk back what she said about their relationship though? For now, a little post credit scene shows us that she will try her luck working at McDonald's in 1980 in Oklahoma. So, with the temporal loom seemingly stabilized and Loki cured from the time slipping, the main quest ahead appears to be finding Sylvie and making sense of new timeline scenario as well as Kang's threat to entire multiverse. Likewise, General Dox is acting quite quickly, wants to apprehend Sylvie as she thinks that Loki variant could explain everything bad that had happened since she appeared. Meanwhile, Judge Gamble has stopped the pruning of more convicts until they figure out what this confusing new era has in store for them. With all this time traveling adventure that surely wait ahead of us, it will be interesting to see whether studio and the writers use the opportunity presented to by a crumbling cop like our organization to comment on how such misguided and oppressive regime can be rebuilt to do some actual good. They all were lied to the point of having their memories erased several times by an all-knowing guiding hand. He who remains was truly protecting his sacred timeline, but he was also swiftly condemned countless others. Could the TVA accept those harsh facts and become something else? So there's an excellent premise with the tons of potential laid in front of us. One that, if mined well enough, could prove this shows can be way more than pieces of the larger puzzle. Season 1 was very enjoyable on its own while also dutifully acting as the kickoff point for the multiverse saga. Can Marvel Studios repeat the same magic trick as the plot gets weirder and the character roster becomes more crowded? We'll find it out soon. Subscribe and share maximum. Thanks for watching. Hope you understand this.